Greetings and salutations, DMs, GMs, referees, judges, game operations directors, and all other varieties of storytellers. This is your DM, Scott, and it's time for another DM Quick Tip. It's reasons why you should use terrain and minis in your game. First off, it sets the tone for your session, adventure, and campaign. Let's just say you got the new Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft book, and you're itching to enter the mists. Well, if you use terrain and minis to give a visual representation of Ravenloft, it sets the tone. Perhaps you have some batting set up around your table. You know, that's the stuff that's inside stuffed animals. Or maybe you have one of those fancy fog makers. Well, if a fog maker doesn't set the tone for a creepy, horror-themed adventure, I don't know what will. Now, take your trees. Maybe they're without leaves. They're black or gray, and there's crows or ravens upon them. Maybe an owl. Your bushes are brown and dead in appearance, and there's broken tree stumps, maybe some logs on the ground. Well, this sets a tone for Ravenloft that would be otherwise very difficult for the DM to effectively set without the use of a visual aid. Now, maybe you're playing in a high fantasy setting and you're using similar bits of terrain. Well, you can easily differentiate with this terrain between high fantasy, maybe a woodland setting that is fae oriented. Very easy to differentiate between this and something like a Ravenloft when you use the right terrain. Terrain and minis set the scene for action when the time comes. So by setting up embattlements, maybe some blockades or cover, and you can see the bad guys, maybe a group of goblins peeking over some rocks up on the hill. Maybe they're hidden, not so cleverly, behind trees. It lets the players know that the scene is being set for action. They know, or at least they think they know, where all the baddies are. And they have a pretty good idea of where they can take cover, how they can use the terrain to their benefit. And that brings us to the guesswork is removed. Everybody's theater of the mind is different. Sure, there's some shared things within everybody's individual theater, but it's not all 100%. It's not like they're standing in the same theater at the same time. When you use terrains and minis, you don't do away necessarily with theater of the mind, but you magnify it. Now, everybody is standing maybe a little bit closer in the same theater. Finally, it's a time saver for the DM. I use terrain and minis in my game and have been using them fairly religiously for the past few years now, and it is a huge time saver. Now, how is it a huge time saver? Well, what I do is I set the table up, and now there's no need for me to go into lengthy descriptions on what people see. What they see is laid out before them in miniature on the table. That extra time and energy can be used towards other things. Managing your table, managing your notes, describing what they smell, what they hear. Now, there are many ways you can run your table, and this is just one. We'll see you next time in the dojo.